In other words, this to achieve, they can't do all of this within this period.
That's it's too short. The period is too short.
You know my pain, that he sat here and is telling us that the army groomed, funded, and deployed by the previous government, of which he was a stakeholder.
I was not in the military.
You were not in the military. You are at a very top position within the party. You are a policy maker within the system.
No, they've removed me I've removed myself from politics.
That was in this dispensation.
We are just discussing. Because I have to talk politics. All they said about these 3 months is just mere propaganda, and it's like they are campaigning to come back to government. Meaning that they are not even in government
you call it propaganda or not, the picture as it is now is not as it was in the last government.
There is not much
difference.
To
the extent that
they are only buying
people
time.
Have been
Where are the girls they promised to bring back to us? Where are the girls?
See,
they promised to bring these girls back long ago.
General Buhari said something, and I will say to you now. He said, if it is true that there are Chibok girls, he will attempt to bring them back. As at that time, he was saying if, because he wasn't even sure. As I'm seated here, I have the same doubt.
I'm not even surprised.
No,
because the same person has told us a fight against Boko Haram is a fight against a particular group.
Let's not bring...
These are the
Hello, gentlemen. Should we end the show?
No, we can't. We can't. Excuse me.
Because we say we're talking security, we're not talking politics. So let's talk security.
Now, to the extent that the man brought these people together, and according to him, they were appointed purely on merit. And more than anything, they have demonstrated the stuff that they were made of. I said it earlier, that I'm almost 60 years old. In the history of Nigeria, I have never heard of a Nigerian general, chief of army staff for that matter, leading soldiers at the battlefield. Excuse me, whether you call it a campaign or you call it whatever, as far as I'm concerned, the morale is slept with them.
These generals are only intimidated. You don't have to be a chief of army staff or chief of air staff and go to the war front.
We never had it like this before.
It shouldn't be.
No, we never.
Let us be realistic. Sir, you are not a military man.
I don't have to be.
Somebody intimidated you and took you as a general to go and lead a battle that is meant for recruits, meaning that you don't know your job.
That's not true.
That's exactly what they are doing.
Leadership by example.
No, they can only raise the morale of the troops. They don't have to be at the forefront.
The mere fact that the man physically was with them, he spent the night with them, shared meals with them.
Do you know that he did it at the risk of a particular generation of officers being wiped away?
When you say a particular generation, all the people that were killed in the northeastern part of Nigeria, were they not human beings?
They were not trained to do that.
So are you now saying? Are you now saying the generals? The top, they have 2 heads. They are superhuman beings who shouldn't be killed or whatever.
No, they shouldn't go to the war front and be killed cheaply, so that there will be nobody to lead them again.
No, that's not true.
The battle will be lost.
That is not true.
Daring.
The army,
you know that they attempted the life of this same chief of army staff.
The military has a command structure.
Yes,
that's much more respect. But for that man to have volunteered to put his life on the line, that should show you the importance that they are attached to this thing.
Let me bring this here. The chief of army staff, while he was out there, his convoy was ambushed.
Right.
So what would have happened if
they succeeded in eliminating him?
Imagine your question. What would have happened? He brought his expertise to bear, and then he was able to escape. We all are endangered. Seated as we are here, we are endangered. If anything happens here, you and I will be gone. So what are we talking about? There is risk everywhere.
But is it a crime for the chief of army staff or the chief of naval staff or the chief of air staff to be out there? I mean, we know that we all read history. Napoleon Bonaparte.
It's not a crime, but he doesn't demand that at all times or at times like this. With a war like Boko Haram insurgency, a general should be very, very careful and cautious. There is a chain of command. There are people who should lead as people who should be at the back to ensure that things are done properly. Yeah. Instructions can be passed, and the people who carry out the instructions properly. The only thing they can do differently is to ensure that the morals of the people are properly taken care of.
So and
then it will visit them at different times to increase their morale. That's all.
So maybe we are in a desperate situation, and it deserved. If you go back to the Bible, Goliath wasn't a backstreet army, a soldier. It was a general in the Philistine army. It was leading. So whatever happened to that time?
I've not said the
so what are we
chief of army staff should not go to visit the troops.
When you say visit,
the headquarters of the shouldn't be headed by at the battlefield. No, there should be an headquarters where we will be passing instruction, giving instructions to the troops.
Whose colleagues, some of their colleagues, they've been taken away. Some have been killed in the battlefront. Some were taken away and they were sentenced to death. Some were dismissed. Some were sent to jail. The morale of the troops was at the lowest ebb. They needed a rejig. They needed some encouragement. And that man volunteered and said, hey, I'm here. I will lead you. And he came forth to lead them.
Okay, and which war did he even lead? Is it a regular war?
I have told you.
He almost committed suicide by
don't call it
suicide.
That step. He was in the line of duty. He was giving his best. When you signed as a military man, to be a military man, you didn't sign to work in Sheraton. Okay?
He has never been in Sheraton. His service has never been in Sheraton.
Precisely. So don't expect that you will not be endangered at one time or the other. There was a job to do. Burantai rose up to the occasion, period. And you can see the difference. I was telling you something before. They made Boko Haram look like an evil forest that was impenetrable. Today, 90% of Sambisa forest has been routed.
This job you are talking about, this Boko Haram fight, is not majorly an army thing.
It's a combined thing.
Precisely. The Air Force has an upper hand in this fight.
Because,
they are the ones who will do surveillance. They will do a lot of whatever air raids, and then leave the ground for what is the business of chief of army staff at the battlefield.
Let's see if we can. There's some tweets that are coming in that you need to respond to. Tona Ohane says, for me, the new military chiefs should not have put a timeline. More action, less talk. More focus and strategy. Oluwaseun says, in war, leaders lead on the battlegrounds, not from their offices and on the media grounds. Pope Patrick Amajama says, if Boko Haram guys are arrested in Lagos, what use is the deadline?
Well, we have said it before, and on that point, we agreed that Boko Haram is not a conventional warfare. It's a war of attrition. It's a guerrilla warfare, whereby the battle lines may not be definite, or cannot be defined, or cannot be seen. But to the extent that at the time in the arrangement, they were located to still be around Sambisa Forest. So they were kept in there. To the extent that they have expanded their security architecture to include local intelligence, they could know that some of them ran away to Enugu, to Lagos, to wherever, and they were rounded up.
Have they been rounded up?
Oh, of course, they were arrested. It was in the media. So to that extent, you can see that they are functioning.
I think this battle should be better organized.
If these things are being done by the last government, we will not be where we are today.
Left to me, we wouldn't even be discussing this issue on here, if not that people need to know. But for us to get this battle done, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of intelligence. The locals are needed. Maybe they are not doing enough in this regard. And I don't think 3 months will be enough to accomplish all this. This is the argument. Not that it's not possible. At the end, so many wars like this have been fought, and it takes a long time. You learn from your experience of other people. Al-Qaeda is there. ISIS is there. We are only praying that we are able to contain Boko Haram early enough, but I can assure you 3 months is too short to accomplish it.
For all I care, those who sat down, those who came out to say 3 months, they must have done their homeworks. They are not road runners who talk flippantly. Just like you said, they are trained people. so they know what they are saying. And they must have their game plan, their blueprint
I think the
in place.
Nigerian military is just training people
for insurgency. Yes.
That's where we had the problem. It was a new thing in our own dictionary.
It wasn't
so
here
it became
before.
so difficult to fight at the early time. But now we are gaining grounds, but it doesn't mean that grounds we have gained is enough to win this battle within 3 months.
Sir, that's the time that they should have nipped this insurgency in the bud. They were playing policy with it.
Okay,
and that was how everything became escalated.
See this question. Someone asking a question here. It says, imagine we're at war with another country, Cameroon for instance. Would the president have come to the war front?
You see, it is neither here nor there. Okay? He is not the head of the military. He's the commander-in-chief. So he may not necessarily have to go to the battlefront. But if, and I say if now, the situation demands that he goes, I'm sure the man will go kitted and then he will go.
I will agree with you. I will agree with you. If the chief of air staff, who is a trained pilot, has a special skill and he feels he can go and raid and ensure that all these places are bombed in a day, so, I will agree. But for an army officer to take chances, to take
risks, you now telling me that Brantai is not ably trained and competent enough to come out there and exhibit some competencies that is not common within the rank and file?
Well, he's just one man. If
when you say one man, that man symbolize
using his discretion properly.
If
your action lacks discretion,
symbolize the Nigerian army.
You can even put the whole army in disarray. You can put the army in disrepute if you took the wrong decision. In taking the people to
this extent, his presence at the battlefront has been a plus to the Nigerian army.
What we see, Dennis says, unity is needed by all stakeholders, PDP, APC, and all Nigerians to fight this war. Else, the Syrian issue might not be far from here. As we close, unity is needed. The way forward. Closing statement. You started first, so I begin with you.
You see, I will want Captain Shelley to leave this place with a mindset that what the military presently is doing will lead us...
It's only Captain Shelley that is listening to you.
Okay, everybody now will lead us to the end of this insurgency. And whatever, like when this government came in, I did what I call agenda setting. I came to channels, and for 30 minutes, I presented my agenda for the government, and I sent it to them. So all of us should work hand in hand. If you have any idea that you think will help them to end this thing, please come forward and drop it. 3 months is good enough. They didn't just come out to say it when they were drunk. No, they came up to say that after careful thinking and thought processes.
Captain Shelley.
I think we need a strong political will to win this war. We need training for our troops to be able to fight insurgency. We need intelligence, and we need the West African Special Task Force to be cohesive, to join hands, and to ensure that movement of insurgents are restricted in and out of the country. The leadership of Boko Haram should be identified immediately. Their supporters and sponsors within Nigeria should be identified. Those people that were suspected to be backers and people who formed Boko Haram should be funded, should be identified and prosecuted. Otherwise, we shall be playing games. We shall not get anywhere.
Thank you very much, Captain Tunji Shelley, retired Navy officer. Thank you for coming. And the security practitioner, Oladende Ario. Forgive me if I... but you don't even go. But you there, thank you for allowing us to be a part of your evening. Let's see if we can take 1 or 2 tweets as we round up. While we see Dennis again says the time is now. Oladele Okun Folami says 3 months is equal to 100 days. Hope we will not be hearing denial of promises at the fullness of time. Taufik says it's our prayer that Boko Haram is defeated, but it was a miss for a 3-month deadline. While we see Dennis again, I want to see if I can take from this other handle, from the face-off handle. Director, please bear with me. Ibons Gandhi says, if General Burate wanted to lead from the front line, he shouldn't have gone with the photographers. It's just mere propaganda. But hey, in war, finally, In war, leaders lead on the battlegrounds, and
Okay.
unity is required. Thank you so much. Have yourself a good night.